What is my favorite dungeon? It's the Spirit Temple. I think I've answered it a few times here, and I'm not going to have any surprise for this video, so if you're in a hurry, feel free to leave now. For those curious of the reasons, feel free to pop your popcorn, take a seat, and listen to my words of everlasting wisdom. If you have never experienced a Zelda dungeon, then you are missing out on the biggest experience of your life. Fuck marriage, fuck the birth of your first child, neither are anywhere close to experiencing a Zelda dungeon. There are so many great ones too, like the Forest Temple, the Stone Tower Temple, Orbital Grounds, Ancient Cistern, and if I were to list out all the Zelda dungeons that are enjoyable, this video would be 20 minutes long, but I don't have time to edit that much stuff, so I'm targeting more like a 5-minute video. Many have discussed here on YouTube what is their favorite temple, and I think I've seen Stone Tower win the most, but I'm a Spirit Temple guy, and let me explain why. Ocarina of Time is the greatest game of all time, and that isn't a statement. It's like in the Bible or some shit. Like sure, it was like 2,000 years ago after Jesus, but he knew back then. The Spirit Temple is a wonderful summary of the entire game. You get to use all your child items you got to start the game, and you use them in some interesting fashions. And you use all the adult items you get as you finish the game, because you finally collect all of them in this temple. Sure, maybe the final dungeon like Ganon's Castle is supposed to sum up the game, and it kinda does, it splits you off into different temples. But the Spirit Temple just uses all your weapons so beautifully. SparkNotes is jealous of how much it sums up the game. Like you used the boomerang and the Deku stick while fighting like a Stalfos as a kid, and you never fought those as a kid, it was pretty amazing. I think the final puzzle you used the mirror shield and the hook shot, or launch at this point, like it's literally like the cap-in items of what you get when you're an adult. Oh, and the game lets you fight the same exact mini-boss when both you're a kid and adult, so you get to fight the same person with completely different tool sets. I just love talking about how awesome this dungeon is and just using everything from this game. It's just such an awesome dungeon. I just fucking love this. That's fair, we're trying to make this shorter video. On to the next point. I love how levels are laid out, and they can really make or break them. And the symmetrical layout of the Spirit Temple is perfect. It allows the dungeon to truly be split into two halves it deserves. One for the kid, and one for the adult. There's also great interaction between halves when you're in the main chamber, allowing you to kind of visit the same area but with different perspectives based on where you are in the dungeon and in the game. The different perspective allows this one basic room to be so much more complex than that. It's like how you get a completely different experience when you meet Subway Jared, depending on whether you're younger or older. It's also worth noting too that there is a bonus area in this dungeon. It's on the 4th floor and that's only for adults. I haven't found any X-rated videos up there, but I'm assuming they're up there somewhere. And this area kind of fits in well too because the main dungeon item, the mirror shield, needs a place to shine. Level layout is huge for me, and Zelda games nail it perfectly. And in this situation, the Spirit Temple, they nailed it extremely well. And I think the Spirit Temple is the best example of how they have nailed it. I say the word theme to a dungeon or just theme to any kind of video game level a lot on this channel, so it's best to make it its own subsection. And this dungeon theme is absolutely terrific. Everything in life needs a good, clear, terrific theme for its main premise. Otherwise, the thing's gonna be all over the place. Like, think of the original Justice League. You only got a main premise, so it's kind of just a mess. Kind of similar to Ezra Miller, a mess that the Justice League is still trying to run away from. But the theme of this dungeon is terrific. It is the final of the main temples in this game. This is the land where the final boss Ganon has originated from. The Templar kind of almost looks like a monolith. It happens to be run by 2 witches of his highest command, although they are rather stupid to be honest. Kind of feels like you're about to explore like an ancient Egyptian crypt with like all these traps coming up. Like we're about to Brendan Fraser this shit. It also takes place over a span of 7 years because we gotta help this bitch, who happens to be the final sage that I want to make happy, so I maybe shouldn't call her a bitch, but oh well. Everything just feels so sacred here too. It's just a perfect theme for this temple. And you can hear this music? I mean, that's just a good soundtrack right there. Shit man, I love this place. I'll also address the elephant in the room too. Ocarina of Time is my favorite game, so I will be biased and say a temple from that game is my favorite. Yeah, I'll admit it, I got a little bit of nostalgia for it. I mean, there are just so many great levels and dungeons in this game itself, so it's no surprise that a lot of people's favorite dungeon would come from this game, mine included. There's just something magical about this game. Anyone who experienced it the first time back in the 90s just would understand. The joy and the happiness of exploring anything of this nature was amazing, and it really did lay the groundwork for a lot of other amazing games to come. So yeah, I gotta praise my favorite game. It definitely deserves it, especially since it's home to the Spirit Temple. So I do hope you learned something today. The best dungeon in all of Zelda games is the Spirit Temple. There is no reason to debate this anymore. Man, I love this place. And I love the Ocarina of Time. And I love Zelda games. And just video games in general. Not you, Call of Duty Vanguard. I don't think you'll ever be loved. But have no fear, there's like a bottle of rum or something that you can go drink on, you know. That'll always be there for you. But the Spirit Temple is just so awesome. Oh, I just love that dungeon so much.